I don't think the 1 seed matters as much. That bye has helped Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. And you're playing a team that just won a game, a playoff game. When you're a young quarterback, sometimes that rhythm and consistency is important. The bye week is not going to help them out this year.
And now NFL IQ with Cynthia Frelund and Logan Ryan. Welcome to Week 17's edition of NFL IQ. I'm Cynthia Frelund here with my very good friend. Now we're, 4 months friends now, whatever, 17 weeks at least. Logan Ryan, multiple Super Bowls, just A-plus human being. If I could give a Pro Bowl vote to you right now for podcast co-host, you'd win. There'd be no even alternates. None of that. You'd be number one for me. Happy Week 17, my friend.
There we go. We're in the trenches. I wish I had your Pro Bowl vote when I was playing. I felt like I was snubbed a few times. Pro Bowl came out today, by the way. I'm sure we'll talk about that. But it's a holiday season. Christmas come around the corner. A lot of fun holidays, clearly, and a very great time to chop up some exciting football and even what it's like playing this time of year. Very important games. Right? Probably the biggest games of the season. All those months, the draft, free agency, the combine. Everyone looks great in OTAs, training camp. And then it comes down to the final 2 weeks of the season a lot of times.
Yep.
And, oh, by the way, you have your family flying in. Your wife wants to know what time we're eating dinner. A lot of ticket requests. A lot of stuff going on this week that has nothing to do with the game. You got to find a way to balance that, and I'll talk about that as well. Balancing the holidays and playing probably the most important football of your season.
Can we talk about the ticket requests some other time too? Because I just think people don't even understand how annoying it is. Like, people will be like, hey, can you get me 7 tickets? You have to do it. Anyways, long story short, we will get into that. It's bananas. But I want to start out with crazy finishes because last week from Thursday, okay, I'm going to say, I'm not even really sure what I saw. From Thursday to Saturday to Sunday. So 3 main games where we talk about crazy finishes and weird stuff. Obviously, Seattle and Los Angeles. What? And then, of course, the Bears. What? Against the Packers. And then, of course, the Lions. Also, what? And the Steelers. So let's start with wherever you want to go with some of these crazy finishes. Tell us, you're in the moment as a player. I don't even... Some of these rules, I'm like, what? What? Tell me what it's like from a player's perspective.
Well, I mean, look, I've had my fair share, right? I played in 3 Super Bowls. One of them being 28-3, greatest comeback in a Super Bowl. The other one being the Seattle Super Bowl with the Malcolm Butler interception in the final seconds, and then obviously another one being overtime, San Francisco Chiefs Super Bowl, where it looked like we were going to end the first overtime of Super Bowl. So I played in probably the craziest of finishes in all 3 of them. 2 of them fell my way. And it's just, when you get that far in the season, it's downright belief. It's downright belief. And those type of games can springboard your belief, for the playoffs. Like Seattle, they got to be feeling like, man, why not us? We did it. We needed a punt return. We needed a 2-point conversion. We needed to throw it off someone's helmet to get a 2-point conversion. And you feel like everything's just falling in your favor those seasons, right? And you look back at the seasons. The Bears, for instance, needed an onside kick and a kind of a walk-off there in overtime and needed a touchdown on 4th down. The Bears feel like it's their season. It just feels like all these ducks are in a row. We've had 6 fourth-quarter finishes. And it's only going to, shine light. And I remember when we won the Super Bowl 28-3, everyone's like, yo, what did that feel like? That had to be the greatest. And it is the greatest comeback in Super Bowl. That had to feel insane. I'm like, it reminds me when we came back from 22 or 24 points against the Broncos. And my rookie year, we played the Broncos, Peyton Manning, that high charge Broncos team that ended up going to the Super Bowl that year. At home in New England, and we were down like 24-0 in the first half, and we came back and won. So we've done it before, and obviously not everyone's referencing a game from a year ago, but when Brady's like, "Yo, we got this." I seen Brady get this before. I seen him bring us back from 24 before. I seen him be like, "Yo, we just need one stop." We get the stop, he scores. One more stop, we get another stop, we score. It's 24-14. Get another stop, it's 24-21. We're like, "Oh shoot, here we go." We end up winning that game in overtime. Fast forward a season later, season and a half later, we're in the Super Bowl. Similar situation happens. We get the stop, Brady scores. We get another stop, Brady scores. We need 2-point conversions now as well. He gets 2 and we score 16 points in 4 minutes. And it's like, oh, we've been here before. So I feel like those experiences kind of last with you and it has that belief for a special season.
What about when you've like to get it the first time though? Because without that, you say we've been here before, whatever. Like, I don't know if a lot of those Seahawks, it's a very young team, can reference some now they can, but before this game, I don't know if they're like sitting there being like, hey, we've done this before. Sam Darnold's his first time being the quarterback for this team. He's thrown some interceptions. We get it. But what do you think? Like, what is that first time? How do you like, where do you think that starts? Is it from the coach? Is it from like where does is it just sheer belief? What is it?
It's such a moment the first time from going from a team that doesn't know how to win to a team that knows how to be a winner. Like it's a big difference, right? And I remember like Mike Vrabel, for instance, the Patriots had a comeback win. They were down 11, right? And we could talk about that game. And it's all the stuff that Mike Vrabel's telling you in the beginning of the season that doesn't matter at the moment. You're like, hey, we gotta finish. We gotta do this. We gotta do that in practice. Why is coach always on me? Why is coach always on me? Why is he? We won the game. What is he yelling at? Why does we're 4-1? Why is coach on us? We're 7-1. Like, why does it matter? And then that moment happens in that game when you're down, you're not playing well. You got to play well in the fourth quarter. You got to get a turnover. You get the turnover. You got to get the onside kick. You do onside kick every single week. In the NFL, you practice onside kick every single week. There's less than a 10% chance you're going to recover it in the game. You never get it, but you still practice it. And then when you get the onside kick, you're like, oh, shoot, this is what we practice every week for. Every Friday, you practice onside kicks. Every practice or every Friday, you practice 2-minute situation, depending on the team. Some teams practice it every day. Mike Vrabel practices it every single day. Doesn't always come up. But when it does, you're like, yo, that's what we practice all this for. So when that clicks, oh my God, the connection, the belief, that next onside kick day on next Friday, you're in it. Like, okay, we got onside kick now. We saw it work. We saw the proof. We saw the evidence. So I feel like for coaches, Ben Johnson, Mike Vrabel, Liam Cohen, right? These programs are now like, oh, shoot, all these details matter. Now all those little things that coach is on about matters. The stuff we're practicing actually matters because it comes up. There's so many times Bill Belichick had us practice stuff and it actually came up. So we took it more serious when he wanted to practice it. And I think that is why coaching is so important. That is why there are so many teams that have been good for so long and other teams just aren't because they don't know the importance of the details. But for those teams that we've talked about that had those wins, that it just reignites the flame of like, I can't wait to practice onside kick next week.
So I had a chance to interview Hunter Henry this week for the show that I'm on Sunday for game day morning, and he was talking about Vrabel, and you talk about those details, and I asked him, I was like, did Mike Vrabel get out there and like hit you? Like, is he practicing with you? And he's like, yes. In the beginning of the season, he gets out there and mixes it up with us. My point is there a better, because a lot of those guys that you mentioned, I mean, even the Dan Campbells, like they have some like real football guy on the field, either former player, like some of that juice there with them, Ben Johnson taking his shirt off in the locker room. But that cohesiveness. But do you think that how can we look as outsiders to be like, these are the coaches that get the details versus the ones that don't, or we just have to wait to see what happens on the field?
Well, look, I think every organization, a lot of fans and stuff don't know this. It's about who has control in the organization. And you know this, Cynthia. Some organizations, the head coach can't do everything he wants to do because that might not be how it was done. He was hired to be a head coach for this team, but he don't really have the reins of the team. Some places that's the GM, some places that's the team president, some places that's the owner. Some owners get full autonomy to let the coach change things. Like, let the coach be like, hey, I had success doing this from wherever I was. I want to do that. And that owner might be like, Nah, I don't do that here. We don't practice that long. We don't practice that short. We don't do that. Well, Mike Vrabel has autonomy to do what he wants to do. He's earned that. He's proven that. So players want to play for coaches. I get asked this all the time. Like, how are you going to change every coach changes the culture. When 8 coaches get fired, the next 8
Culture.
have to come in next year and change it. You know how many times we hear change the culture? I
It's
hear that
about to
every
be
year.
culture week, so we got another, like, 10 days where you hear the change
Right.
of culture, it's a new culture, blah, blah,
It's a
blah,
new
culture, culture,
culture. Every
culture. Yeah,
press com,
we're
new
coming up.
culture. Man, I'm cultured out. I want to win. I don't care about culture. I want to win.
I'm not
Right.
getting start a
And
losing culture here, no worries.
yeah, you think
Like,
I'm going to teach you guys how to lose? No, we got to just tell me how to win. And what that is nowadays, especially, is it's about being yourself. And Mike Vrabel authentically is a football dude that played and wants to go out there and mix it up. So that's himself. I don't want to see Bill Belichick mixing it up. I don't want to see Kyle Shanahan mixing it up. I want to see Kyle Shanahan on that board
I wanna see Mike
whipping it up.
McDaniel mix it up.
Right. I want to see Kyle Shanahan whipping it up. And
Yep,
that's what he does. So when
yep.
I sat down with Kyle Shanahan on the 49ers, I was blown away. Blown away, immediately blown away with his football intelligence, telling us what we need to do to win the game. Not only offensively, he knew defensively. He knew exactly what was needed to win the game. And oh, by the way, the Niners could be the 1 seed, by the way, with all the injuries they have. Heck of a coaching job here. So, by Kyle Shanahan. So, players want to play for coaches that are themselves. Dan Campbell is himself. He's not trying to do it any other way. Win or lose, he's going down being himself. Mike Vrabel doing it his way. Ben Johnson came in there doing it his way. And sometimes you got to call out some star players. Sometimes you got to hold some players accountable. That doesn't happen in professional sports because star players make more than you. The star quarterback makes more than the head coach. And oh, by the way, some teams are tied to the star quarterback longer than they are the head coach. So the head coach better get along with that star quarterback because the quarterback has more pull than the coach does. Mike Vrabel is like, nah, I don't. You ain't gonna outlast me here, right? So he has autonomy. He has trust to act how he wants to act and be himself. And players and all humans, I feel like we respect authenticity. And I think those are the type of coaches. It can look differently for your to answer your question. It doesn't have to be how Mike does it or how Ben does it. It could be how Kyle does it. But both Kyle and both Mike Vrabel, Kyle Shanahan and Mike Vrabel command a room very differently. Same result. I was in both their rooms, blown away by both of them. They do it very different, but the same command of the room.
I love that. Authenticity always the thing. So I'm curious, when you were talking about like players outlasting coach, all these things. So Baltimore, their coach is very long tenure, that he and
Yeah.
Mike Tomlin are right up there. And in that last play again, or in that last drive against the Pats, like he even admitted it after Derrick Henry should have played. Like what do these are we'll get into this in a minute with the teams who are kind of there's only a few left that could potentially even make the playoffs, but the Ravens made it hard on themselves, with the loss, and why wasn't Derrick Henry in? Like, what are you seeing from the outside in that situation? Obviously, Snoop Huntley playing different, but, why isn't Derrick in?
I, hey, that's a great question. That question has no answer because there is no answer. The only thing I played with Derrick Henry, I was there when Derrick Henry was splitting carries with DeMarco Murray. Then I was there when Derrick Henry was rushed for 2,000 yards. I saw firsthand the growth and blossoming of Derrick Henry in Tennessee. When now he is a Hall of Fame player, right? And the only thing that could take Derrick Henry off his game is him being out the game. And that's time and score. The only way you beat Derrick Henry is if you get ahead of them and you're in obvious passing situations because you're behind on the score. So if I'm the Ravens, the only way Derrick Henry doesn't have a good game is if truly we're just behind in the game and we got to play with a pass catching back and Derrick doesn't do that. But if you have the lead or the game is tight, Derrick Henry needs to be in the game. He only gets better with his carries. All his 99-yard touchdown runs and stuff, that stuff happens like the third, fourth quarter. It ain't always the first. I mean, he started off early in that Ravens game, hot in the first drive, and he ended the game hot on his last drive with touchdowns. Why he doesn't get the ball after that is conduct detrimental. They need to find some coaches some guaranteed money because that is bad practice because I play with that man. Derrick Henry gets better as the game goes on. He needs to be in the game that scores tight. And so I have no idea. I barely know. I didn't even like notice because I'm watching my Pats too, and I'm like seeing it. And then I'm like, how did the Pats come back and win? And then I'm like, oh shoot, Derek getting touched the ball. It's kind of there's no answer to that one. It's wrong.
I okay. Well, I'm glad that we are aligned on that because I didn't know if there was some sneaky thing that you knew that I didn't know on that. Because, anyways, so
Was there a stat? Was there a stat that said that he shouldn't
well, it
have been
just
on
was
the
the
field?
lack of volume, like where like sideline minutes. I don't know. I can make up a stat.
Man, that ain't good for him.
Ultimately, just not being in. I didn't know if maybe there was some strategy, like maybe they were overthinking. I don't know. There's no specific thing. I just was curious because it would seem like let's keep it really simple. Bill Belichick told me this too. You want your best players playing.
Yeah. I look, let me throw I don't even know if it let me throw maybe what they were thinking, and it's still not even a good idea. Just if I had to use my football brain to say, maybe here's what we're thinking. Okay, Lamar Jackson's out. We should probably run Derrick more. But New England's gonna pack this box, right, and stop this run, and that is what they were doing with Derrick on the field, which is why Zay Flowers was going off because they had so many people in the box to stop Derrick. So maybe they thought with Lamar Jackson out, the Ravens coaching staff thought, it's gonna be so packed if we have Derrick in that maybe we have a different back. We could do shorter passes, try to spread it out maybe because the numbers are so tight in the box. But that's still not a good enough answer to me. I mean, that's the only thought is maybe we want to do some more short passing game and spread them out a little bit with Tyler Huntley in there. But that's not just turn around and hand it to Derrick.
Yeah.
It's still not good enough.
I don't know. I just was curious. I mean, I think it was a case of overthinking it. Like, oh well, they're gonna think that we can't. They're gonna stack the box. So we're gonna do that. Like, I'm with you, but I think it was a bit of overthinking. And also, the only thing I could think of as soon as Snoop Huntley went in was the fact that he's in one of the better progressive. Those progressive commercials are incredible. And I was just thinking about, because he's in the one that's about like teaching the kids about the birds and the bees. I was like, that's just so good. I can't not think about that while Tyler Huntley's playing.
So
Anyway,
you're saying Progressive fixed the game then. Progressive must
it
have had
was
some
probably I
they
mean, they
wanted their
got a lot of
star in there.
extra run of it. Like, I can't be the only one who was thinking about that darn commercial. He's like, "Thanks, I really know a lot more about life now." Like, kid at that. Anyways,
I know some Ravens fans personally, they're upset. It's hot over there right
I would
now.
be upset if I were a
It's
Ravens fan.
hot
I'm
over
upset
there.
and
I
I'm a
don't
Derrick
know.
Henry fan.
It's hot over there right now. And I'll say this, if you fire your coach Harbaugh because they're fed up, right? They're fed up time and time. He's not getting the best of his players. He has Lamar Jackson. He has Derrick Henry. They're not getting the best out of him. Whatever. Who else you gonna hire?
Yep.
And Baltimore's a great job though. That I mean, you're gonna probably get the best candidate, but it's not always grass is greener there. And Harbaugh is letting Lamar probably do his thing over there and letting his star players rock. So I don't always know if the grass is greener, but I know Ravens fans are extremely upset right now. And they should. I had the Ravens going to the Super Bowl, and if they won that game, the Ravens being a sneaky hot team with the AFC being wide open, I would have still been like, "Hey, I don't know about them Ravens though." So they better hope they get in the playoffs because if not, I know Ravens fans will be extremely, extremely disappointed as they should be with this season.
Absolutely. The other thing I will say from a front office, my friends who work for the Ravens are some of the happiest and best treated in the whole league. So it to me doesn't feel like an operation. Like sometimes you think like, oh, maybe like this the staff in the back that's not the coaching staff, maybe they're not picking players well or whatever it is, but I would say their analytics department is just not top notch. But in general, though, all the people in the business operations and stuff too, they're very well treated. So at least there's that. So it's a great
They
destination.
treated well over there.
They are treated very well. It's one of the class of the league, one of the classes of the league. Okay, so let's talk about because it's Christmas this week, of course. We need to talk about a couple players that have been a gift this season. Look at us with some puns. I just want to point out, obviously we got the big names. We can always talk about the Jackson Smith and Jigbas, etc. But before we get to the Pro Bowl list, which is gifts, whatever, I think we should pick our gifts for the season. And of course, I'll just start this one off because when you're talking about O linemen, love it. My Santa Mooch gift this year was a Frank Ragnow jersey, so we got that up there. Gray Zabel, the guard from the Seahawks, he was a first-round draft pick. North Dakota, he's a bison like, you didn't know if he was gonna be kinda living up to the billing or not. So he has played 415 snaps without allowing a sack of Sam Darnold. I just feel like perhaps when you're looking at offensive rookies of the year that will ever be considered, he's a present. Sam Darnold should buy him a big present. Hopefully, he got him a cool old lineman gift. But I wanted to point out Gray Zabel as one to start.
That's a shout out right there. I like that. Who's gonna give the O lineman love, Let's stick with Seattle.
All right.
Let's stick with their dynamic safety. Nick, now how you pronounce
Imanwari.
it?
That's my defensive rookie of the year pick. Nick
There you go.
Imanwari. Yep, yep.
Iwari. And I knew he was a combine freak, and because I was not a combine freak, I hate combine freaks. It's my own bias. But he can play ball too, and he's been playing ball, and obviously something's up there in Seattle, right? Something is it's they're having a great season. Obviously, this is your team. This is your models team, and they're delivering. They're delivering with a huge win over LA, but their defense is top notch. I know Julian Love really well. I played alongside Julian Love, mentoring him a little bit.
What was the fight about? Will you ask Julian Love, like, what did Puka say? Like, what happened? Because like, that was a lot of scrapping with Love and Nick Imanwari, and, like, there's just a lot of I like
Yeah.
emotions, it's good, but I just was curious.
Yeah, let me ask. I'm sure he's gonna share for NFL IQ. I don't know if he'll tell me what was said. Puka's. I don't want to get Puka's name in the media anymore for what he says or does.
Nope.
Heck of a
No, no.
player. Had a heck of a game, by the way. Let me get back on track. But the young rookie fit right in with that Seattle secondary and Witherspoon and Love and even Reek Woolen and like even all the guys they have over there. They just play really well. And he's not a guy that's going to get his name shout out that much. And shoot, I barely could pronounce it at first, but I tell you what, he's fit right in. And it ain't quite the LOB Legion of Boom that I had to compete against, but they have their own little identity over there. With the Ravens defense struggling the way it has this year, that coach Mike McDonald has brought it over there, and that culture traveled with him. I'll tell you that. And they're playing more Raven-like defense, that LOB-like defense that Seattle has over there. They're playing really well.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of them, obviously, but I also like the fact that last year they didn't like their linebackers, so in the middle of the year, they just got different ones, which is like it's ballsy, like that's anyways. But point of being is they're figuring out their identity and they're sticking with it, which is always smart. Okay, so for my next one, I'm gonna go with Tyler Shuck. I get it. The Saints aren't good. We got it. But Tyler Shuck's making a strong case that he should at least be considered for next season to be their starter because he's not he's throwing the deep ball. He's able to be mobile in the pocket. He's accurate when he's given time. He's done great things. And to do all of this in a team that, Chris Olave's had some pretty incredible games last week, obviously 2 trips to the end zone, but like, when you're watching it's not like he's surrounded by the craziest cast of characters. The run game has been severely banged up. There's not a lot to play for. Like, that's been dire circumstances, and I think Tyler Shuck has delivered, and especially because last year we're talking about how is a light quarterback class, blah, 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 and of course, there was a lot more hype around some other players, but coming out of Louisville, he was 300 years old. Remember, everyone said he was too old to play, whatever. Like, I understand he'd been in the league for fun fact, he actually was on the same team as Justin Herbert at Oregon a really long time ago. He was in college forever. Who cares? I think he's making a strong case to at least have a place next year. And I don't know. I just feel like he gets no love. So we're going to give him a little bit of love here because he's a present this year.
Okay, I like that. I really do. And look, I think that choice by the Saints, that draft pick was a big conversation starter, obviously with Shador Sanders as well. Um, I don't want to make you compare them. It's irrelevant at the point. But they're both doing well enough for themselves in the situation that they have to show that they are NFL quality quarterbacks. And I think that's the biggest thing you can do as a young player. You could always look at your first year compared to someone else's first year, and this guy started here and I started here. At the end of the day, you're trying to build a career at a whole new level First thing you gotta do is prove you can play. And obviously, Shuck getting his chance to prove he can play, and he's proving that he is capable of playing. What goes on after this, I don't know, but he at least earned the right to prove that he is worthy of playing in the NFL at the hardest position, clearly, a position that's really hard to get it
Mhm.
right.
There aren't even 32 guys. I mean, the fact that Philip Rivers has come back shows us that there aren't even 32 guys who are necessarily qualified to play the position. So, it's a very difficult I don't know. I just I feel like with all the hype around Sanders and he's doing a great job too. There's no absolutely no, I'm not throwing shade in any way. I just feel like, it was kind of like, oh, you're going to take this old man River before, Tyler Shupp before Shador Sand like, I think he's done very well. It probably wasn't easy to come into the league feeling like that, so I don't know. I'm into that.
I'm gonna throw out 2 real quick, both on the same team,
Yeah.
my New England Patriots. Okay, first, we'll start with a player we all know and love, Stephon Diggs, and it's because Diggs is coming off the ACL, probably 30 years old. People probably chalk that up. He's getting 20 some $1 million, bad investment. They didn't get Chris Godwin, so they're gonna pay Diggs. Who knows when he's healthy? Absolute dog. I've said this on other networks that he is the tone setter of that team. And like, what do you mean? He's not an enforcer like that? No, enforcer in his mentality. 4th down, who they go for? Stephon Diggs. Drake May did not play his best game against the Ravens early in the first half by any means. But when he needed it, when he got to have it, they're such built on team up there, play team ball, scheme team plays. But when you need a one-on-one, you need a guy to win. Stephon Diggs off the ACL injury is winning on the perimeter like this against really good cornerback play. Got to have it on 4th down. We're going to Stephon Diggs. There's obviously other younger receivers that you would probably take, but he is earning his check this year off of ACL injury at 30 years old. So many people wouldn't have paid him. So many people would have said it's not the right move. The personality's too big. You're going to bring that around Drake May. Perfect fit. In my opinion, from what I've seen, perfect fit. Tone setter for the New England offense.
Totally with you and love the Diggs pick. Who's your other Patriot?
It's got to be the defensive lineman Chase Young. I mean, this find by this front office, I mean, they absolutely nailed it this year. Obviously, and he's a huge part of it. Coming over, and nobody would have thought, obviously, with the amount of money spent at D tackle, that the Patriots put a lot of acquisitions in. But the edge rusher, what him and Harold Landry have done, but Chase Young has really balled out, strip sacks, a real true gem, and I think a real reason why the Patriots continue to win this defensive line. But you know how important the edge rushers are. And I don't think a lot of people had him on their bingo card of having the year that he's had. He's been a true present for Pats fans.
Especially because Milton Williams got hurt, right? And he was the big money man that they brought over. Christian Barmore, of course, has played well, and it's one of my favorite like full names to say. I can't just say his last name without being like Levon Chason. Like it's just such a good name. So without him, I think I'm with you. I think that's a very what's that good value, high return on investment for
It's
him.
not all about day one for agency, right? And I think the Patriots hit on day 2 and day 3. And I know we all want the splash picks with the record breaking money, but every player out there can make an impact, and he's definitely earned his keep. Hopefully, he gets a little more Christmas presents coming his way and some bonuses or some extensions coming up in the
Well, he
future.
certainly put it on film that he is well deserving. No coal in his stocking.
No, not at all. I need some gold.
So that kind of is a good segue to the Pro Bowl because obviously Pro Bowl is voted on. There's no like good sometimes I get confused how it gets picked, whatever. Pro Bowl is a popularity but you got to theoretically be good to make it. Although Jared Goff not making it feels weird to me, but whatever. I'm mad at the Lions fans because there were more Pittsburgh fans in Detroit than there were Lions fans, but that's an aside. Um I want to talk to you a bit about the Pro Bowl and like obviously, it's just come out. So we've had like a little bit of time to sift it, but what did you notice? What stood out for you from the Pro Bowl nominee or yes, the Pro Bowl players this season?
Look, I think the process, well, I don't know if it's like PTSD of looking at the Pro Bowl corners. I swiped to it to see, am I on there? I wasn't on there. Uh,
You
again,
you didn't make it this year. Got it.
but I swiped and it's no shade on anyone because it's very hard to make the Pro Bowl, first of all. First ballot, it's very hard to make. Only 3 quarterbacks in the entire conference. Clearly, there's 4 or 5 or 6, 7 quarterbacks deserving of their conference, right? And there's only 4 corners, right? And there's a lot more than every team has, there's like 8 good corners in each conference. It's really hard to be a number 1 corner for a team. I look at a guy like Diamador Lenore, right? He's on the Niners. The Niners have a chance to be the 1 seed in the NFC. He's played really good ball. Um, he plays all over the place. He has good stats. He's a number 1 guy. The Niners lost Fred Warner. They've lost Nick Bosa. He's had to step up as a leader, and he doesn't make the Pro Bowl. But the Eagles have both their corners on the Pro Bowl.
Yep. That's what I'm looking at right now. Just so you know, it's Cooper DeJean, J.C. Horn, Quinyon Mitchell, and Devin Witherspoon who made it for the
Right.
NFC.
And,
Just for people
Witherspoon
listening.
makes it for Seattle. I can argue that Lenore's numbers are as good. J.C. Horn definitely deserving. He's been picking the ball off. Like, when a guy does that, you lead a league, there's no debate. But when you have 2 guys on one team, is that doing more than one guy is doing for his team? His team, has the better record or equal record and stuff. So that's the hard part because there's not a lot of spots. And the process is frustrating. The process is the fans have a third of a vote, the players have a third of a vote, and then the coaches, I guess, have the other third of vote. I know players that have voted and literally been like, I don't want to vote that guy because I know he's going to get votes. So I'm not going to vote him because I don't
Right.
want him to take my
Right.
own spot because you can't vote for yourself or your own teammates. So when I get a ballot, I can't vote for anyone. I can't vote for myself and I can't vote for my own teammates. So obviously it's like, all right, let me just vote for the other guys that are deserving. It's like, no, no, no. Let me vote for guys that are non-deserving so that a deserving guy doesn't take my own spot. That's why the player vote gets skewed. Fan votes, again, you got 2 Philadelphia Eagles on there compared to a lot of different players. What about the Jacksonville Jaguars? How many Pro Bowlers they have represented? They have a chance to be the number 1.
I will tell you, they have one. It's the
They have a
long
long snapper. So
snapper.
they don't have one
Ross
position player voted,
Matashik. I don't even know how
right?
to
They
say
don't
his
have
name.
one position player voted,
That's
right?
so
And
sad.
are the
That makes
Jaguars
me really
fans
sad,
gonna vote
actually.
as big as a big market team's fans is gonna vote? So that's the hard thing when you're a small market team. It's a hard thing with the player vote. It's skewed. So that's why so many of it
Mhm.
is frustrating because there's a lot of players that say, "Hey, I had a better season than him statistically. I have more responsibility than this guy, but this guy gets voted." So I know for players, it's very frustrating sometimes if you don't get it. Obviously, if you do, it's great. But then also players don't play. It's dodgeball now, so players don't go to dodgeball. And then the 5th team alternate gets in on the AFC, and you're the first alternate on the NFC, and you don't get in because all your NFC guys go to the Pro Bowl. But you're an alternate, you don't get to go, but the alternate on the other side gets to go. That's happened to me before being an
Yep.
alternate multiple times. So it's kind of annoying at times. Like most all-star games, it's very not fair, very skewed, but I don't know how else you do it other than make it a popularity contest, which it is. It is.
So Baltimore and Denver lead the way in the AFC with 6. And in the NFC, there are also 2 teams with 6 in San Francisco and Seattle in terms of total players. Now, I will say in terms of like Seattle, they don't some of them are you know, not to say special teams doesn't like deserve, but like it's one thing if you have like 6.
Seattle votes. I've lost on some Pro Bowls with some Seahawks. They get a lot of people in there. Seattle, I'll play for the Giants, so I was getting some votes. So I was leading the Pro Bowl vote the entire time for my safety position, and then I woke up the next morning and Seattle had 2 safeties, Diggs and Jamal Adams, both leading fan votes overnight. So I'm not saying Microsoft has them bots. I'm just saying they whipped up 2 safeties over me, over New York's votes overnight, and, those guys had good years. They made the Pro Bowl, and Buda's always gonna make it. Buda Baker's a lock. I mean, that's just it's easier to make your 8th Pro Bowl than it is to make your 1st, because when people are used to you being in there, you're in there. So Buda Baker's a lock, every time, just how he
Yep.
plays. So to get that other safety spot's hard
Your guy
sometimes.
Kevin Byard,
Um,
Antoine Winfield Jr.
Byard,
Those are yep.
whew. Played with both of
Yep.
them. Great. Kevin Byard leading the league in interceptions. Not the first time he'd done that in his career. Did it his second year of his career. And I got to put this post out. We got to start talking about post Ed Reed and Palomalu, modern day safety goats. Okay, because I know we all grew up with Ed Reed, Palomalu, and it goes. But who is the modern day? Who are we talking about in the last 10 years? Kevin Byard needs to be up on that list. Look at his numbers. He's led the league in interceptions like 3 different times. He's like in year 10, leading the league in interceptions. He did that in year 2. Consistency and longevity, so overrated in sports. We get tired. We always want the new hottest thing. Kevin Byard's up there in GOAT debate of modern day safeties with Harrison Smith.
I'm with you. I mean, Buddha to me, obviously, as well. Um, Jalen Ramsey, it's weird because I am not used to seeing Jalen Ramsey listed as a safety, like, just in life, just
Yeah.
because to me, Jalen Ramsey used to be a corner. Like, that's crazy, but he made it as a safety, and, of course, Kyle Hamilton and Derwin James. What's something you notice about all of these, safeties?
You guys all have the same agency, huh? Same
Same
agent.
exact agent, David Milageta from Athletes just wild. I mean, maybe there's a bot there, I'm not sure, but, maybe he just picks the good
Spinning
ones.
votes.
I wonder what is it causal? Like, he picks the good ones, or I don't know, but I'm just messing.
No, I mean, look, if I'm a safety, I would look at him too. I met with David Mulligetta about potentially signing with him a few times. It didn't we didn't go that direction, but it's because he has all the safeties in the market, all the great ones, and it's smart. It's smart to do that to the market because you get paid based on the market. So why not corner the market? If you have an athlete's first bot, let me
I
know.
don't, but I mean, at least
But I
I
didn't.
mean, I
I didn't.
haven't made one yet, maybe I could, but no. Just kidding.
You know what? What is uh Quandre Diggs is with athletes first, and Jamal Adams might
I don't know
be.
about Adams, but
Is
I
he
know
with athletes
Quandre
first?
is. Yep.
Yeah, you know what? When Seattle came and spun my votes up out of me, that might
There
have been
you
what is going
go.
on.
There you go. The one that's interesting to me, and I'm not suggesting that he's not a good player, but he hasn't played for much of the season, is Joe Alt. Joe Alt for the Chargers.
Yeah, I sometimes, especially at positions where it's really hard to have stats. It's really hard to have stats at line. So that is just going to be who you know. It's going to be who you know. How do the fans truly know? And that's when we talk about these stats, like how important it is to get these player stats right for linemen and for these positions because Pro Bowls can trigger
Yeah.
bonuses. They can trigger next contracts. If you're a two-time Pro Bowler, that can trigger a whole nother market of money. And it's a flawed voting system, but it matters in contract negotiations so much. I know another one, not to throw shade, dynamic player, quick as a cat, but Zay Flowers made the Pro Bowl. And I know some people are a little questioning that because there's a lot of good wide receivers in the NFL. And that's one where people are like, well, should Zay Flowers have made the Pro Bowl? Um, Again, a lot of this stuff is up for debate.
I mean, yeah, Baltimore just gets out there and votes. So you talked about triggering money things. So I'm curious. I watched the interaction with DK Metcalf and a Lions fan. Now, let me be very clear. I am a Lions fan, and I think there's absolutely no place for speaking to a player during a game, especially I don't know what was said. I don't have any insight to that as I was here in California. I have no idea what happened, but it's inappropriate. There's no place for that. However, DK Metcalf, he's the one with more to lose. And as of right now, he's still suspended for 2 games, although he's appealing that suspension. And he stands to lose a huge sum of money, like $40 million potentially. Okay. Tell us a little bit. Fans are fans, right? Like we're glad that they
Yeah.
buy the ticket. Maybe that guy should have his season tickets revoked, whatever. But in general, what did you see in that interaction? How do you view it?
Well, we got to explain quickly
Yep.
why he could lose $40 million.
Yeah.
So in the NFL, we talked about guaranteed contract. You have a contract, say $100 million, say $10 million to make it simple.
Oh,
And instead,
I'd rather I want 100 because I'm
okay, $100
obviously
million to
crazy.
make it simple.
Okay.
But we know in the NFL with so much injuries that what you say 60% is good to have it guaranteed. So 60 million of it's guaranteed, meaning that if you get
No matter
hurt,
what. Yep.
yeah. So if you get hurt, which is inevitable, you're not seeing that 100, you're only going to see 60. We could talk about taxes and make it that type of pod later. But so when I sign a deal, if I sign a deal for $100 million, I'm not talking about taxes. I sign a deal for $100 million, 60 million guaranteed. I tell my people I sign a $60 million deal. because that 100 is not guaranteed, and they are gonna find a lot of ways to not give me that full 100. That is just the nature of this sport. Other sports, fully guaranteed. NBA, MLB, fully guaranteed. You see the deal, they see all 100. But football, you see 60. Okay, so we get $60 million. Now, if you get suspended for something like DK Metcalf did, something detrimental, something obscene like that, they can void your future guaranteed money. So they say, hey, DK, not only are we fining you for punching a fan or attempting to punch a fan, which is crazy, I do not condone that, but now we can now void all your future guaranteed money, which is $40 million remaining, meaning you only made 20. You're supposed to get 60, but that other 40, we can now void that because you got in trouble. If you get arrested, even if you show up conduct detrimental, meaning if you show up to a meeting too late and the coach is like, this is conduct
Keon Coleman, that's what he's been doing. Keon Coleman has been a healthy scratch or,
Keon Coleman,
whatever,
Brandon
and
Ayuk, no showing. They said, we're going to void your future guarantees because this is detrimental to the team. So although we guaranteed it at signing and it's sitting in an escrow account, we're not going to give it to you. So if
so another thing people should understand, when do you get paid? So most Americans get paid annually, like every other week, right? How do football players get paid?
you get paid throughout football season, so you get paid.
Which means starting whenever you're not playing anymore, no more money. Meaning when he loses two game checks, he loses 2/17 of his
Oh yeah,
salary. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't think people get
Yeah,
that. I
yeah,
mean,
this is it. You're
I
like a
think that's
teacher. You don't make money in the summer. There's no checks coming in when school's over, right? They made the pay period 34 weeks. It used to be 17, so you get one check a week. They broke that in half, made it 34 so players could spread it a little bit longer. But outside that 34-week pay period, you're not getting a check. So when you lose
but now it's 4
yeah,
34ths
when you
then,
lose
right?
two
Because you're getting
17s,
paid
you're
2
losing
games
a
worth, right?
huge chunk of his salary. Long story short,
Yep.
you're losing a month of work, right? And so that's massive, one. But now they're coming for the future. They can come for the future guarantee. That's why that punch can cost him $40 million. Not a $40 million fine. His fine's going to be 2 game checks, which could be, oh, by the way, $4 million. But that extra 40 they can come for in the NFL. Insane, crazy. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of touching my guaranteed money for a mistake. I'm a fan of
No.
I'm not a fan of fines, but I get you got fined. He's tripping. He should get fined. But the future money, I'm not a fan of that. Now you're messing up with people's generational wealth. And there's very few mistakes that are $40 million mistakes in life.
No, no. I mean, most people look at the opportunity to make a $40 million mistake, let alone do it. Now, here's the thing that's interesting. Again, we don't condone any violence. Absolutely not. None of that is okay. Now, there are emotions. I have stood on the sideline. I'm not in playing in games, but I've stood on the sideline and heard craziness. I do preseason sideline, which is you got to be a real one to do that one. And the vitriol that comes during preseason for some players can be preseason. So I'm not saying that it's okay. I'm saying that it is part of the game. Tell me about it as a player. I'm just saying validating it as like an outsider. Like it's crazy. Like players just have to ignore it. But tell me about. I mean, I'm also not the
Yeah,
person
it's
trying to
real.
hit someone for a living.
It's real. I got two stories. One quick one in college, and then I have one in the NFL where I actually got a fan's seats suspended for the remainder of his life. All right,
Good.
so my college, when I'm at Rutgers, we go to West Virginia, right? And West Virginia's fans, they're known for burning couches, having some moonshine. They get after it. They get after it over there. So we're playing there on the road. It snowed. So I'm sitting on the bench. I'm hearing all type of slurs from these fans. Not very nice things at all. As a player, you kind of get used to it. Some of the racial ones, obviously, is not something you can never get used to, but they're saying all mother F this, that, your mom, your blah, blah. Like they're saying, hey, Ryan, because I'm sitting on the bench. And in this college stadium, the bench isn't far from where the fans are. And they're giving it to us. Okay, I told you it snowed. They are throwing not snow, ice balls, ice and snow. I mean, they packed them up. They're pelting the back of our heads with ice and snowballs. So our coach tells us after someone got hit in the back of the head, we have to keep our helmets on because they can't do anything about the fans throwing snowballs at us. So we had to keep our helmets on at 18, 19 years old, hearing the things being said to us. while people are throwing snow and ice at the back of our necks, the back of our heads, constantly. That is so much to deal with when you're just trying to go out there, play a game for free. By the way, I was broke in college. I got
I was
$0
about
to
to
play.
say, you weren't even part of NIL,
For the love of
so
the game. I mean, just trying to get to the league, we had to deal with why are fans allowed to throw ice balls at the backyard? Pretty dangerous, I would think.
I'm curious why West Virginia allowed that, but we, you know,
There was
we
nothing.
won't
There was
get
no
on them for
security, nothing. It was straight snowballs at the back of my head for 3, 4 straight hours. Try to deal with Tavon Austin on the other side and Geno Smith was enough to deal with, let alone that. So to me, I already knew fans were off when I'm dealing with that at 18 years old in college, just trying to put on free entertainment. Fast forward to the NFL, we play Cleveland. At Cleveland, I'm at Tennessee. This is when they have Odell, Jarvis, Baker Mayfield. We end up picking them off 4 times. One of my picks, I go jogging to the end zone. So I got tackled. It wasn't a pick six, but we jog in the end zone to celebrate. We're by the dog pound. So we're right by the dog pound. We didn't jump up in the crowd. I think Malcolm Butler got a pick. We're all by the dog pound right there. Fans are pouring beer all over us, all over them. I'm jogging behind them. They're taking beer, throwing cups, pouring beer on us like we're animals. So I go to try to like swat away the beer bottle that is being poured, and a fan moves it and pours beer, you know, down at me and swats back at me. And I'm just trying to get the bottles away from people throwing glass bottles or plastic, whatever it was. So because that clip got posted because we scored and all we're in the end zone, I said, yo, NFL, why is it okay that fans can pour beer on us, but we can't do anything back? So the NFL then found that fan, suspended their seats for, I guess, for eternity. Browns fans in my DMs. Oh, Logan Ryan's a crybaby. Don't come near the dog pound if you don't want this or don't want that. Come on the field for 30 seconds. Let's see what we want or don't want. Right? I can lose $40 million. You can't. The fan whose seats got suspended wasn't at the game. So somebody was in his seat, so it suspended the wrong fan's seats. So then I kind of felt bad. It was a whole thing. I don't know if the right fan got his seats back or not, but apparently the person that got suspended, his seats, wasn't sitting in that seat. So I don't
I
know
will tell
what.
you though, they say, well, even for us, whatever, who if you are in possession of the seat,
Right.
like if it is your seat in your name and somebody else does, it doesn't matter. It's on you. So
So
if you're gonna resell your tickets, you are assuming that liability. So
long story
perhaps they
short, this
got
was
back,
years
but
ago. That's what happened there. But again, we're at a sporting event. I get people's emotions are high, players' emotions are high. Why are you throwing snowballs and ice balls at the back of someone's head? That's assault. You can't do that on the street. Why are you pouring beer on people? We're celebrating in the end zone
right, you're
near
not
the
in the
fans.
crowd.
And
Right,
they're taking, throwing things at us and take and because 'cause they're not treating you like human beings. They're in a
right.
stadium of gladiator. They're treating you like warriors. They're treating you like animals, not treating you like a human person would. And that's where this stuff gets sticky. Again, where's security to stop letting the fans pour beer on us? Where's security to stop letting fans throw ice balls at the back of my head? And those are things I realized when I wear this helmet, people aren't gonna treat me like a human, and they don't always do. And the way they talk to me, the messages they sent my family, some of the things I've read and had to hear is they don't realize they're not talking to me like they would on a regular 9 to 5. And I realize that fans, when they get in that stadium, they don't think that they're watching human beings or think they're at something else. And that's a huge problem. Security needs to be amped completely because I could have lost 40 million a bunch of times based on some of the stuff I had happened to me. I had better restraint than DK Metcalf had, but I'm not surprised because of the stuff that you're used to hearing.
Yeah, I mean, I the thing that I that my sense about all of this is that, you know, where are the other like this was not even like a moment of like it wasn't a celebration. There was nothing was going on, right? It wasn't like the middle of a so he didn't just score a touchdown. No, nothing had happened. So where's your like receiver coach being like not worth it, bro? Like where like you need some friends here to help you out to be like don't make this bad decision
Yeah.
cuz that
I mean,
isn't
the
good.
receiver coach might be coaching. He might be coaching the other
I don't know. So
receivers.
there's
There
enough
needs to
people on the
be
sideline
there
that they
needs
should
to
have helped
be
him out.
team security and there needs to be stadium security. when I go to
They're
these
well, they're just
international
standing there.
soccer
I'm like,
games
"Oh god, what are you doing?"
when I go to soccer games in other countries, I wish you would run on the field. There are so many armed police officers. It's like and they
Mhm.
they don't play in them soccer
No,
crowds. You see the
no.
smoke bombs, you see what people be doing in them crowds. There is no fan getting on that field, and if they're streaking on that field, it's a wrap. They're seeing real serious jail time. So there needs to be so much more stadium security than
Yeah,
what we have. These are
agreed.
incidents I'm telling you about that were normal. Me getting a snowball thrown at me, me at the back of my head, me getting beer poured on me was normal. That's not even like out the blue type stuff. This is a normal game. So Marcus Peters went up in the crowd one time and had to talk to a fan. Like it's happened because there's nowhere near enough security at all at these games. And these fans feel so because they pay and they root
Maybe
hard and they root against, they feel like they can treat people a certain way, and in reality, it just wouldn't always work that way, and unfortunately, I just think security needs to be up, like, times 10.
Yeah. I mean, I've met DK. He has been nothing but like I have nothing but great interactions with him. I hope that this is like they're saying all this stuff and then once he goes to appeal, I think it should be one game and then like let's move on. But you should never put your hands on someone. He should have had more restraint. The fan is should be whatever. Everyone in this situation is wrong, but the emotions are really interesting from that point of view because you are a person and like this is like I get baffled by it every single time because, like we talk about like I love football because I got to watch with my dad. And I can't imagine if I was sitting next to that fan and watched that interaction, then my dad would have been like, let's go next time they're at home. Let's go again. Like you want you want it to be
Yeah.
an inclusive place, not a place where you're getting freaked out.
It's a symptom, right? It's a bigger problem. Lack of security is a symptom, and before we move on, I wanna make this point. I've seen a player talk about this, and I can't remember who, but he talked about look at the players' messages, look at the fan-player interaction since gambling and betting on sports has become a thing. The way people talk to you now because people are losing their houses, they're losing mortgages, they're betting their check. Now when a player doesn't have a good game, how is that positive for the player now? The stuff you're hearing nowadays is so much worse than when your team lost because that was your team. Now a player loses and you have a lot more on the game. So some of the stuff you see in players' DMs, some of the hate that you see is crazy because betting has desensitized human beings from interacting so much more now. And the intensity, I don't know what that fan said. I don't know if the DK situation reflects this one. But since we've talked so much about fantasy and cool, fantasy football, you might have $1,000 on your league. You might have $100. There are people that are betting $1,000 a snap now. With the gambling, there needs to be so much more security for players because some of these fans are so much more deranged and delusional because how much more is on each game that it's not good for the players. How does that help the players when the players can't gamble on the game themselves?
I also think just in general, people feel emboldened to say things that they may not have said even 10 years ago. I mean, my mentions can be a dark place and I don't even play. So, it's, I just think we've become so normalized to just saying things that would, you would never think of saying because between keyboard warriors and whatever you want to like cultural, I don't know, it's crazy. But I think that, moving on to our stat of the week, it's very interesting that this season we now have so there's only 14 teams that go to the playoffs. 10 are decided. We've got like 8 teams that are left out. It's crazy how much so 4 on each in each conference are still technically in the hunt to get those last playoff spots. We're almost decided, man. Like that I think that's a wild this has been one of the weirdest seasons I can remember from the standpoint of usually it really is coming down to week 18 for many games. It's possible this time that it's like almost none, maybe even none, depending on some things that happen this week. Is this injuries? Like what are you attributing this to?
I think there were some injuries with the quarterbacks this year. Obviously, Mahomes, obviously Lamar Jackson was somewhat banged up. And I think the way that the league schedules where, the number one teams from every year have the toughest schedule, and the weakest teams have the easiest schedule. Um, I think that's obviously helped some teams with new coaches ascend rather quickly, like Jacksonville, like New England have lighter schedules. Boom, they're going, they're winning. So to me, I think it's a little bit of that, and kind of the old guards this year haven't really held it down, and it's busted wide open. And Sean Payton's got a young quarterback. And how about the quarterback class from last year? Obviously, Jaden Daniels was injured this year, but we anticipated him being there. But Bo Nix, what he has
Caleb
done, and
Williams.
Drake May and Caleb Williams, that quarterback class of, I mean, I might have said on this podcast is like the best ever, it might be, with how deep it goes. Um, these guys are in MVP contentions and stuff like that, number one seed contentions in year two, and with new coaches. So it's kind of nuts, but it's wide open. It's fun. And I think going to week 17 and not know who a number one seed could be is different. It's not a runaway. Oh, if the Chiefs win it, they'll
Nope.
clinch it. It's like, no, it could be San Fran. It still could be LA. It could be Seattle. On the other side, it could be Denver. What about Jacksonville now? It could be New England still. New England might not even win the division. Could be. So it is so open on not only who's making the playoffs, but what the seeding is going to be. And those matchups are so important in the playoffs. Home field and matchups matter a lot in the NFL. And it's obviously style matchups, weather matchups. That stuff matters a lot in the NFL.
Yep.
And that's going to come down to the wire, which is awesome.
I mean, I love all of that. I mean, it's so right now, just to me, the winner of the NFC West, which is still up in the air. So if the Niners win out, meaning there's a week 18 game between the Niners and the Seahawks that is likely for the number one seed, very likely for the number one seed overall. So that's interesting. If that happens, no matter who is to me, the NFC West winner is the Super Bowl, is the most likely Super Bowl candidate because of the value in that single buy in the NFC specifically. Now, on the AFC side of things, it's not quite as profound to have the buy. Right now, it's Denver. They have the same record as the Patriots at 12-3, but Denver has the tiebreaker over New England. So, but here's the thing: New England, their remaining schedule is the Jets and the Dolphins, whereas Denver's remaining schedule includes the Chargers next week after the Chiefs this week, which Chiefs with whatever's going on with the Chiefs, right? So their third quarterback. But ultimately, it's pretty wide open there too. Now, even if it's, let's say it's the Patriots with a one seed, does that count the Bills out? I don't know. Like, I feel like the AFC is like wide open. To me, the NFC, you need the bye.
Let me tell you this, and I want to be the first one to tell you, so you could call me really smart on NFL Network and
Well,
stuff.
you already are really smart.
All right,
So
here's this one for you. This year, I don't think the one seed matters as much, because when you're the one seed, you get a bye. We know that. We know the numbers of having a bye and how much that helps. But that bye has helped Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes for a lot of years. When you are the hardest game, if you ask Tom Brady, I'll probably say the next one, but if you ask him for real, what the hardest game for the playoffs was for us, for the New England Patriots, it was the first game after the bye, the divisional, usually the Ravens, because we had a week off and you're playing a team that just won a game, a playoff game, with a lot of belief. So I wouldn't necessarily, and look, you're going to go for it and you're going to take the bye for rest purposes, but we all know it's hard coming off a bye week sometimes to ramp it back up. I seen it happen in San Francisco. We had a bye. We're the one seed in the NFC. We clinched it week 17. We didn't play the starters week 18. We had the bye week. Then we had to play the Packers, who just came and upsetted Dallas. That was a very hard game for us. And Brock Purdy, coming 2 weeks off, young quarterback, having to play off the bye. The Packers almost upset us in San Francisco. Now we got out of there. Then we played Detroit, who almost upset us as well. But my whole point is, when you're a young quarterback, sometimes that rhythm and consistency is important. You give these young quarterbacks, Drake May, Bo Nix, a bye, I'm not necessarily sure that's the best. For the Rams, maybe, but I give Sam Darnold a bye, come off a bye week, then go play a really hot team that just won a playoff game, whoever that could be in the NFC. That's good. That's not as easy as you think. So I guarantee you this year, you're gonna see some 1 seeds knocked out because that bye week, that's not for Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes who know how to do it and play a lot of playoff games, can be more of a hindrance than a help this year, in my opinion, because we got a lot of new quarterbacks in the race. The bye week is not gonna help them out this year. That's my take.
When both teams have the bye, does it matter? Like, ahead of the Super Bowl? Like, how does that, because then you have 2 weeks, right? Or is that because it's the same, it's like, you know, same, same?
Super Bowl is a whole different game.
Okay.
There's no momentum in the Super Bowl. It's a whole different game entirely. Obviously, you both had to win a lot of games to get there, but there's so many commercial breaks. There's so many breaks of an action in the Super Bowl. It's true. It's a whole different game. It's a whole different halftimes longer. There's no say of like this team won the NFC championship by this much. They're gonna win the Super Bowl. Like there's no momentum going to the Super Bowl. It's completely new style of football game that you haven't played in all year. That's why Super Bowl, you never know what's gonna happen. It's truly like an unknown source of a game because to me, they're the most different games I've ever played in terms of rhythm and timing and pacing and momentum because of so many commercial breaks and so many long half times. It's completely new game in terms of momentum.
Well, we'll get into that more when we get to the Super Bowl. I just had to ask because that naturally followed from
Yeah.
like the bye question. But let's make a prediction for this week. Last week we had a good week for our predictions. I went with the world's easiest prediction because I needed to be right. And it ended up being right. Saquon Barkley scored a touchdown and the Eagles won.
Yeah, you were just scratching for
I wanted to win. I didn't say it was a hard one. I just
tell 'em
was
what I
like, I
said. What
wanted
was
to give.
mine? What was mine?
Yours was, let's see, I'm gonna look it up right now. Yours was that Puka went way over 100. He had 225 yards, but you had the Rams winning and the Rams lost. So you went 50%. So we're 75% as a
But
team.
I said that Puka's the best receiver in football, and he's gonna show that. And having 12 catches for 250 yards or 225 and 2 TDs with no
Pretty
Devontae
good.
Adams was a pretty good performance to
That's why I said
say.
we did well. That's
Yeah,
why I said we did well. You know,
I was
we're
proud of
good. All right,
Puka.
you go first this week.
Bang bang Niner game. I think the Niners have a path to the 1 seed. You said it's gonna come down to that Seattle game. They gotta beat the Bears. Look, I mean, the Bears are believing though. The Bears are believing. There's no reason why the Bears don't believe. I like Kyle Shanahan. I like Brock Purdy. Let's put another 3 touchdown performance for Brock Purdy at 5. 3 TDs for Brock Purdy with a Niners win.
Okay.
The Niners on the path to a 1 seed.
I love it. Okay, so that, by the way, is the Sunday night game, in case anyone was wondering, which is a really good spot for that Sunday night game. All right, I'm gonna go with a harder one here too. I'm gonna look at this Eagles and Bills matchup. I think it's a fascinating one because the Bills' run defense has not been good, but the Eagles can be a little confusing, huh? I'm trying to think of the right word. Who are they? Like their identity can be very different game over game, right? So we saw a Tank Bigsby situation, a touchdown for the Eagles. I know it's Saquon. I think both Saquon and Tank Bigsby end up in the end zone again. That's a big prediction. Now, I do think
That's
the Bills' run
huge.
defense is not great though. But
That's
Matthew
huge.
Judon coming to the Bills, low key, that could be the Bills' secret sauce. Here's the thing. The other reason why I think this is kind of an interesting one is the Bills, they can't really do much to improve their playoff situation. They're kind of the 5 seed. Like I guess they could lose out and some other things, yeah, but I think that they need to win it, but it's not quite
No.
as crazy for them. Same thing with the Eagles. Like they're kind of locked into where they're locked in. I just think that I don't know. I want to see what happens. This Tank Bigsby situation to me is very interesting coming at the end of the season. They need to get some push in the run game. I don't know. I think we saw something there.
Well, the tush push, well, I mean, that might be the reason why he doesn't get it. That's the thing. They have to be longer touchdowns because they're inside the 5. You gotta assume that's Saquon or the tush push. So Bigsby's gotta score a longer one, which is
That's
why
why
that
I made
one.
it even hard this week.
Yeah, that one is hard. That one's a hard one. I'll give you that one to make up for the easy one you had last week. And I will say if the Bills do wanna look, Josh Allen needs to play better, and he will, and I think that's why you gotta wanna play good football going into the playoffs. Seed or not, you gotta wanna play good football, and I think Josh Allen knows that.
Yeah. But I guess my point is that for the run defense, I don't know if they're fixing it necessarily this week against the Eagles team who they should be getting Lane Johnson back. So it's not 100% as of this recording, but that helps.
I mean, there's
Helps to have
plenty of
your right
times the
tackle back.
Eagles didn't run the ball at all this year. There was a lot of times where's Saquon at? So I don't
I
know.
want to know who the Eagles are. Will the
Right.
real Eagles please
This is a good
reveal
tester.
themselves?
Who do you have winning that
Yeah.
game? That would be your prediction.
I have the Bills winning the game, but
Okay.
don't tell anyone that yet because Philadelphia fans are going to kick my butt.
Keep it nice in the mentions, please. We talked about. Cynthia's still
Philadelphia
considered a
fans.
human, though. She's still considered a human. I think I got my helmet off, so I get somewhat human energy. But it was some. When you wear that helmet in that stadium, it's a different type of stuff being said to you.
At least though you're wearing a helmet, so if they try to throw anything at you, it's better. I don't know.
You don't want to wear a
Sometimes
helmet on the
I'm like,
bench.
ah.
I want to catch my breath. I mean, some people have oxygen on the bench. They need to catch their breath, and I'm getting hit with ice balls while I'm just trying to tackle Tavon Austin. It was hard to do both. It's hard to play against Geno Smith and Tavon Austin in college, and then sit on a bench and get hit with snowballs. Like, that was a lot to deal with at that age.
I think that's a lot to deal with at any age, but I'm glad you did, and I'm glad you're here, and thank you so much for hanging out, and have a very Merry Christmas. I hope you have just the most magical time. I am following all of your social media content. Your son's soccer is some of my favorite stuff on the entire interwebs. Loving it, and I love that some people say I'm quiet. They should see me on Sunday. I just love all of it. You're killing it, my friend, so keep that up. Of course, remember to subscribe, like, comment, do all of the things to keep in touch with NFL IQ. We'll see you back here next week.